Hey, what's going on, wrestling fans? This is my first ever review on TNA Impact. Today's date is August 1st. And the reason why I am doing my first ever video and review of TNA Impact is because after the show tonight, I was severely let down by TNA, the company, and the product. They've hyped up this guy coming in now for a week. Every dirt sheet had different people. They thought it could have been Bob Holly, maybe John Morrison, possibly Low Key. And instead of having an actual wrestler come in to TNA, they bring in Tito Ortiz, a guy who is almost 40 years old, another MMA guy that is not going to be productive in the long term for TNA. Now, I understand that TNA, Bellator, and Spike TV all have some kind of lovely contract and they try to cross-promote. I understand that. TNA needs help. They need cross-promoting. They need to be promoted more. I understand this. But when you've already got King Mo down in OVW not doing anything, and you got Rampage Jackson, who hasn't done anything, and now you bring in another MMA guy who's almost 40, who will not help your company in the long term, it doesn't make any sense to me. None. Another thing that I don't understand about TNA, that I brought up to other people, which anyone can look into, is Rampage Jackson, who has just joined TNA, already has a t-shirt and merchandise on the TNA Shop Zone. What they do not have is any Chris Sabin merchandise. Zero. Their heavyweight champion, who has been with the company 5+ years, who has done everything he could do for the company, doesn't get a t-shirt. Doesn't get merchandise. Can't make that extra money with merchandise sales because he doesn't have any merchandise. Current champion, heavyweight champion at that, no merchandise. But TNA will promote a Rampage Jackson t-shirt on their page and sell it. And he hasn't even had a match yet in TNA. That right there is what is going to put TNA out of business. Ridiculous company decisions and ridiculous policies within the company is what's going to be the death of TNA. Seriously. Another thing I will not ever understand is why Dixie Carter insists on paying Brooke Hogan money instead of paying true wrestling talent. Okay? Last time I checked, TNA was a wrestling company. Brooke Hogan is not a wrestler. She doesn't add any value to TNA, but yet she is collecting a big salary when that money should be going to true wrestling talent. I don't understand that. Don't get it. Now, I understand that TNA has been under a lot of heat lately with all the releases. Alright, maybe they need to free up money. I don't know what the situation is with that. Only people in TNA know the true situation. But if they were releasing all their real wrestling talent, Matt Morgan, Taylor Hendricks, the slew of other guys that went, including D'Lo Brown, to bring in Tito Ortiz, that should go up any true TNA fan's ass. There should be no reason and there can be no excuse to release that much talent just to bring in Tito Ortiz. That makes no sense to me. What I do want to say is tonight on Impact, I very much enjoyed the ODB and Gail Kim match. I liked having the knockout match. I liked the knockouts. And to be honest, the Austin Aries AJ Styles match at this point in time in year could go down as match of the year. It was a great match, great spots, looked awesome. the fact that it was overshadowed by this August 1st guy coming in and then it being Tito Ortiz, it's a shame. Austin Aries and AJ Styles should be mad as hell that their main event match was not the main event. Instead, they had the main event Mafia and, Aces and Eights battling it out just to have Tito Ortiz come out. Makes no sense to me. I really don't know what else to say. I know a lot of people place the blame at, Hogan and Bischoff's feet for everything that's going on in TNA right now. What I will say is, back when I was in love with the product, Hogan and Bischoff were not in the company. I love the six-sided ring. I love the X Division flying around, hitting amazing spots, pulling off ridiculous moves. I liked when they had hardcore matches, when Sabu was in there, with Abyss, doing really, really innovative hardcore matches. I loved it. When they had a great knockout division, TNA had one of the best women divisions around when they actually had the full beautiful people, Awesome Kong, Taylor Wilde. They had the best women's division in wrestling in a very long time. Now what they have is 4, maybe 5 women in the women's division. Maybe. I don't even know how many, but I know it's not more than that. Their tag team division right now is a mess. They don't even have a tag team division, to be honest. What TNA does is they grab a singles wrestler and pair him with another single wrestler. They don't have any of those, real, true tag teams anymore. The last true tag team they had was Gen Me, and they let them go. So, that division's gone. And the X division, now that they don't have the six-sided ring, and now that they got that damn ramp coming down to the ring, you limit the X division on what they can do. Another thing I want to point out, any true wrestling fan, and TNA fan for that matter, will understand this, is prior to Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff coming to TNA, TNA used to always put out compilation DVDs. Best of the Bloodiest Brawls, Best of the X Division, Ultimate Matches. They always put out compilations of their very best product. Since Hulk Hogan and Eric Bischoff have come in, you don't see those DVDs anymore. Can't buy them. They're not out there. They don't waste. Since Hulk Hogan and Bischoff came in, those DVDs are done. I used to buy them all, but can't buy them now. Now they're giving away free pay-per-views on Spike TV. I could never imagine the WWE giving away a pay-per-view on free television. Doesn't happen. TNA's hurting that bad that they got to give away pay-per-views. That should say how bad the company's hurting. And the last thing I want to say, and then I'll stop my rant, because I guess it's not really a review, it's more of a TNA rant right now, is the fact that they had Bully Ray as champion for so long. Now I know I've listened to other, YouTube videos. I'm a huge fan of the Don Tony, Kevin Castle videos. Bully Ray is an amazing tag team wrestler. The problem with him being a heavyweight champion is when you're in your mid-40s and your whole career has been built around being a tag team wrestler, it's not believable that you're that dominant as a singles competitor at that age. Now, I want to point out Shawn Michaels, who was an amazing heavyweight champion, was a tag team wrestler. But when he broke free and became a singles competitor, he was not in his 40s. He was much younger than that. Same thing with Bret Hart. Great champion, but when he was a singles wrestler and he broke free from the tag team division, he was much younger than what Bully Ray is. I don't think it's believable to push a guy in his mid-40s that had only done tag team wrestling his whole career. It's very hard to believe that he becomes a dominant singles competitor at that age. All right? That would be like Michael Jordan right now picking up a basketball and going and playing one-on-one games for money at his age. You would say that at one point he was the greatest basketball player that ever lived, and that when he was on a team, that team was unstoppable. But then age does catch up with you, and it's hard to believe that a guy that had only done a tag team division for his whole career all of a sudden hits 40, 42, and he becomes heavyweight champion, and he's, dominant. It's just not believable. Everyone knows wrestling is all about storylines, and it's all about spots, and it's not real on that aspect. But there has to be some level of believability in the storyline. So I appreciate anyone who watches my first video. I welcome any comments. I hope you enjoy it. I hope what I say makes sense to some of you. And I really do hope people like it. I probably will do another review video later on, down the road or something. But like I said, when I saw Tito Ortiz come out tonight, I basically threw in my hat with TNA and said, this is done. Product's gone so far downhill. Storylines are so far downhill. They're not building the company for the future. They're building the company for maybe now, maybe a week from now. But they're not building, they let all their gut check, all their young talent. It's all gone. It's going to go right over to Connecticut and work for bigger money, bigger shows. The young talent, I don't know. Well, have a good night. Hopefully everyone likes the video like I said. And again, I do welcome any comments. Thank you.